What's going on, YouTube? This is Jim, and tonight I wanted to give you guys my no-kidding reaction to WWE Payback. Now, WWE Payback is billed as the, quote, first pay-per-view of the new era. And the idea is that we're out with the old, in with the new. WWE is obviously trying to ride on the hype of the return of Shane McMahon, although it has been for a while now. But the depth of the NXT roster slowly coming up the ranks. And the idea with this pay-per-view, at least on paper, and the way it was advertised, was that it was going to be the new guys' time to shine. Did it succeed at that? No, not in my opinion, at least. Overall, I'd have to say the pay-per-view was okay. You know, we're in that slump, that post-WrestleMania slump. We go through this every single year, and every single year I talk about how it doesn't really start to pick up until towards the end of the year, obviously, when WrestleMania becomes into the forefront again. But we're in this rut right now where a lot of the main stars, like my boy John Cena, Randy Orton, just to name a few, are injured and not in the main picture. Obviously, that contradicts with the idea of what Payback is, but let's face it, Randy Orton and John Cena sell pay-per-views, and they are in meaningful feuds. So what I normally do is I write notes as I am watching the pay-per-view event, and I write down all the matches and this did happen and how it went down, but I didn't really feel inspired this time, and I think that kind of goes into what I didn't like about the pay-per-view. So it starts off with one of my new favorite tag teams, Enzo and Cass, going up against the Vaudevillains for a shot at the number one contender. This is the conclusion of this tag team championship tournament to determine who will face against the New Day for the strap. Well, Enzo and Cass come out, and if you have not seen Enzo and Cass, you are missing out. Enzo is by far one of the sweetest straight talk, hotshot microphone aces in the planet, and you can't teach that, and I love it. The match starts, and within 2 minutes or so, Enzo takes this really weird spot where he gets Irish whipped into the ropes, and the referee throws up the X. And any wrestling fan knows when the X is thrown up, that's legit. The bell rings and the Vaudevillains win. Obviously, he got hurt. They gave a few updates throughout the night. Basically, I'm guessing a concussion. They took him away as a precautionary measure, but they took him out on a stretcher. Thankfully, they said he's up and alert. He's walking around. He's moving his limbs, that sort of thing. So I hope he comes back soon. But real disappointment. I couldn't see any world in which Enzo and Cass did not go on to win the tournament and not go on to win the tag team championship belt from the New Day. However, we're going to have to wait until Enzo heals up and comes back. I don't know if Cass is going to do anything single-wise or they just might push him back for a while. They really do work well together, and they get the fans so hyped up. It's a real shame. But the Vaudevillains win. They will go on to face the New Day at some point for the tag team championships. I gave that match an X because obviously I'm bummed out about my boy Enzo. I don't want to see anyone get hurt, but especially those guys. I think they've worked really hard to get where they are. Next was probably in the match of the night, in my opinion. That was Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. They did this really cool vignette showing that these two guys came up the ranks together. This is a match that's been 14 years in the making. And it was really this, how these, basically it was sold that Sami Zayn got to the WWE, Kevin Owens was jealous, he came in, Kevin Owens had a chance at success, and ever since then they've kind of been one-offing each other. If you remember at WrestleMania, Kevin Owens had a chance to win the belt, and Sami came out and interrupted and cost Kevin the match. That feud is still going on today. Hopefully this is the end of it. Kevin Owens wins. There was some early flurry by Sami Zayn, but it really makes the most sense for Kevin Owens to win right now, in my opinion. I think he's a more rounded superstar. I do like Sami Zayn. I think he brings a lot of positive energy. I think he needs to be in different feuds, though. I'm ready to get him away from Kevin Owens and have him go off and do his own thing. But Kevin Owens is definitely the far more established star, and right now villains are hot. I'm not necessarily saying they're in short demand, but it's something that is more entertaining. He actually stays out for the, so I give that match a star. Stars and X's, by the way. That's my new my new world-class ranking system. Kevin Owens actually stays out for commentary between Miz and Cesaro. And the only interesting thing about that match was when Sami Zayn comes back out and continues to fight Kevin Owens. So maybe the feud's not over. I don't know. The Miz ends up winning in the chaos over Cesaro, even though the Miz tapped out a couple seconds before. Typical Miz being a heel, being a weasel, getting away. He ends up winning. And you notice that as I'm kind of reading through these matches, by the way, something to keep in your mind. This is supposed to be the hot, new, exciting era. How many times have we seen Miz fight Cesaro? How many times have we seen Kevin Owens fight Sami Zayn? Next, we had Ambrose versus Y2J. Now, I'm a huge Dean Ambrose guy. I love him. I was upset he did not win the belt during his last match, but I will tell his last pay-per-view, but I will say, to me, Dean Ambrose is best put in these situations where he's up against Y2J and he's just an asshole. Dean Ambrose does well in those roles where he just messes with people solely for the joy of messing with people. Y2J comes out and has his talk show. Dean Ambrose comes out and creates the Ambrose Asylum. And off to the races, they begin fighting each other, culminating in this feud now. And it was an okay match, a typical Dean Ambrose match where he's wild and uncontrolled and predictable. And I do like his in-ring style, but I still feel he is best utilized outside the ring, where he is a really quick talker. He's doing a lot of things just to be a jerk for the sake of being a jerk. And I do appreciate that. I think that's where he's best in the role. And hopefully WWE continues to use him in that capacity. This match gets a star because Dean Ambrose is just Dean Ambrose. And I thought it was really, really cool. There's a couple interesting spots with the announce table, but nothing I haven't seen before. Nothing was like these, oh my God, wow moments. But considering Shane McMahon jumped off the cage, and I'm still reeling from that, from WrestleMania, I don't know if anything will wow me at this point. That match gets a star as well because Dean Ambrose. Next, we had Charlotte, accompanied by Ric Flair, against Natalya with her uncle, Bret the Hitman Hart. And it was cool to see Bret come back. He had a bout with prostate cancer, and they say he's clear of it, so I'm happy for him. I grew up watching Bret Hart, so it's always a little nostalgia to me to see him come out. And I do like Natty a lot. I think she's kind of the mother hen of the Divas division right now with Nikki Bella and Brie Bella out. There's really not a lot of that positive diva influence outside of, well, really no one. I mean, I guess Charlotte's kind of the heel, the top heel right now. I guess Natty's kind of the response to that. And I do like Natty. It would be nice to see her get a belt again, but not to be today. Typical match, Ric Flair. You're just seeing the same patterns over and over. And all I could, the top line on my notepad here, I wrote, the first pay-per-view of the new era. Ric Flair interrupting or doing something stupid to cause the belt. Is that really the new era? There was a kind of neat little spot at the end where both Natty and Bret put both Rick and Charlotte in double figure fours. That was kind of neat. Pretty expected, though. Again, I'm not sure how this new era is wrapping up, but that match was okay. I don't know. Anyways, then we move on to the finale. Yeah, we went on I'm sorry. There was one thing I wanted to talk about. I'm just reading my notes here. I'm sorry. That was Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon come out, and then Vince is going to determine who is going to be the ultimate leader of Raw. There's been some controversy lately as to who is the rightful heir of the Raw empire. Stephanie comes out and gives about a 10-minute speech about why she's the best. Shane McMahon comes out and gives a pretty heartfelt speech about why he left. I think there's a lot of truth in that speech, by the way. And Vince McMahon is like, okay, this big moment, and you're both going to be the leaders of Raw. Goodbye, and he leaves. What a non-event. What a bummer. What a letdown. It was so lame. Now you're going to have Stephanie and Shane running the company. What's really different between that? This new era, is it really panning out to be anything different than it was before? That's why I keep going back and saying this pay-per-view was a failure. But wait, we get into the grand finale. Roman Reigns versus one of the definite fan favorites at this point, the phenomenal AJ Styles. And what a interesting match. Roman Reigns ends up accidentally, sort of by accident, low-blowing AJ Styles. and AJ wins by disqualification. But not to be outdone, Stephanie comes out and says, wait a minute, no match of mine is going to have a disqualification. Ring that bell. We're going to have them fight. No disqualification. So I'm like, cool. Here comes the ladders. Here comes the chairs. Let's get a big pop. Let's end this pay-per-view in style. Ends up happening is all these lame tag team people start coming out and interfering. You know, first you have Luke Gallows and that other guy, the other shiny guy, I don't know his name. They come out and beat up Roman Reigns, and then the Usos come out and beat up AJ Styles, and then everybody's beating up everybody. Couple top ropes, so, you know, the typical, all the guys are standing outside the ring. Roman does a stage dive outside the ring. AJ Styles does this phenomenal elbow on Roman Reigns outside the ring, drags him in, and then out of nowhere, Roman Reigns does a spear and wins the match. Sound familiar? Yeah. So that was it, and that match gets a big X. By the way, the Natty match gets a big X as well. So I count a whopping 3 stars out of all the matches, and way more X's than I care to count. This pay-per-view is a failure on every level, in my opinion. Despite that, I thought it was okay. The whole mess, if they got rid of that message, the first pay-per-view for the new era, and they didn't keep shoving that in our faces over and over and over again, this would just be an okay pay-per-view. But because they kept doing that, it definitely drops down a notch. I feel like the only really good match that really progressed any single storyline was... Oh, wait, there weren't any. That's one of the big problems that WWE's having with this new pay-per-view every couple week model, is we're not getting permanent decisions. You had this tournament, which I guess the pay-per-view, the tag team tournament is now written in stone, so we can have some closure on that. Even though Kevin Owens won, it seems like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are still going to fight again. The Miz weasels his way out of a match with Cesaro, with Kevin Owens sort of chomping at the bit, but clearly if Sami Zayn's still floating around, he's going to have to fight him one more time to show him why he's the best. Dean Ambrose versus Y2J was a feud for really no other reason for the sake of being a feud. I don't really see much happening in that respect. Charlotte continues to win as a heel. Everyone continues to dislike her. Ric Flair continues to do things to make sure that she wins. Really not anything moved along there. Stephanie and Shane are now both the GMs of Raw, which is pretty much what we saw before. Nothing really new there. And Roman Reigns continues to own the tag team. He continues to own the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, despite the fact that the fans have completely turned on him at this point by a spear out of nowhere. And that's why Payback is just regurgitation of the same old. Going into Raw tomorrow night, am I going to hear or see anything new other than maybe an update from Enzo? And I'm sure the guy's going to be A-okay. I don't really know what else is going to change from last week to this week. Nothing definitive came out of this pay-per-view, and I think that's what the big problem is. Where's my boy John Cena to save the day? This is the guy we all should be rooting for to come back, because he sells tickets. He makes it exciting. Right now, WWE continues to flounder. The post-WrestleMania curse continues. At least that's my opinion. But I want to hear from you guys. Sound off in the comments below and let me know what you guys thought about WWE Payback 2015. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.